Earlier today, I was scrolling down my wall on minds.com and came across a YouTube video of a black Rhodesian war veteran begging whites to come back to help rebuild Zimbabwe now that Mugabe is gone. Well, allow me to offer this very simple reply. No. Whites built Rhodesia on previously unoccupied territory. After they had created civilization in that geographical locale, blacks moved into it because there they could have access to industrial farming and food production, education, medical treatment, roads, trade, jobs, and nearly all of the infrastructure of a first world nation, which Rhodesia was on the cusp of becoming. As soon as blacks had moved in great enough numbers, they decided to take over what whites had built, seizing the country of Rhodesia and renaming it Zimbabwe. Whites stayed. They owned land. They worked and operated right alongside blacks in Zimbabwe. The farmland, under white control, not only produced enough food for the native Zimbabweans, but created a surplus. That surplus of food was not only a major economic boon to Zimbabwe, but was the principal source of food for much of Central Africa. Yet, that wasn't enough. So in June of 2014, Mugabe decided to push out the white farmers, not only expropriating their lands without compensation, but refusing to prosecute any murders of whites. By February of 2016, Zimbabwe was so devoid of food because they couldn't produce the harvests which the industrial white farmers had. Zimbabwe was begging the UN for $1.5 billion in aid to prevent mass starvation. Now hear this. You made your bed. You lay in it. Starve and die. After you're gone, whites will move back in, walking over your emaciated corpses and begin rebuilding the civilization which you took by force but were not capable of maintaining. You know, I suppose a more accurate statement would be, you dug your grave, you lay in it. Oh, don't worry, we'll be along shortly, to throw the dirt in. It's a courtesy we'll provide. We'll make sure you all get buried, and we'll even be kind enough to mark the graves. Maybe even build a monument and hold ceremonies. You see, it's in white people's nature to care for others. That's why whites stayed and remained part of Zimbabwe even after the fall of Rhodesia. That's also why whites stayed till the bitter end, right up until Mugabe signed the order expropriating their property. They tried to stay as long as possible to save all of your worthless hides. They tried to remain as long as possible, producing the food which would sustain your existence. That is the nature of white people. There are, however, limitations to our altruism. Starve to death. Watch with eyes filled with tears as your children wither away in front of you. As the whites were forced to watch their families slaughtered by machete-wielding mobs and thugs, persecuted for the crime of sustaining your lives. Embrace your fate. You deserve nothing more. You did not speak out against the violence committed against the whites. You did not stand shoulder to shoulder with whites against the mobs who sought their blood. You have no moral authority. You have no ethical grounds. You have no right to ask or beg or plead for white people to come back and save you after you did nothing to save them from a reign of terror which saw their families brutally slaughtered like animals and the expropriation of their land which they had built and later maintained for the purpose of feeding your greedy mouths and your grumbling bellies, taken from them by official order. You dug your grave, you lay in it. And to South Africa I say, look on Zimbabwe. Watch as they starve and die by means of a truly biblical famine. See your fate if you repeat their mistakes. You have been warned. You may not later cry, "We didn't know, forgive us, come back." Actions have consequences. You cannot avoid the law of causality forever. All debts will be paid, including debts of blood.